Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yeah, so the chakra system in our bodies is so important in terms of harnessing energy and sometimes blocking energy, depending on your situation. And there are 7 main chakras. We've learned about them as a whole, and now we're breaking them down into different ones every time we get together with her. And we're learning a lot, I got to tell you. A lot. She is Frankie Hart from Satya Life Yoga in Florida, and she's back with us. Welcome back, Frankie. How you doing?
I'm doing great and very glad to be here, Steve.
Oh, it's so good to have you back. And just, I've never heard this done before where we take the time to look at every chakra and what it means, what it represents, what you need to know to harness that energy and also change that energy and maybe even open up the blockage of that energy. So before we begin, I do want to ask you, how did this all begin for you? This whole journey into chakras, energy, yoga, where did it start for you?
That's a great question. It started a long time ago. I was a professional dancer and choreographer for many years, most of my life. And as a dancer, I always say I'm a movement junkie. I'm a bit of a movement junkie and also an intellectual junkie. So I'm a little bit of an odd bird that way. I got a double degree in chemical engineering and dance, which is a little unusual, right? So my mind has always been very inquisitive and curious about different things. And as a mover, it's very natural that I went into exploring yoga and Tai Chi at a very early age. And then I was very interested in the cultures of both of these. And when you look at the culture of India, which is where yoga comes from, and the Chinese culture and Tibetan culture, you see that these practices are not just physical practices. So all you have to do is open up that lid a little bit into the culture of where they come from, and very quickly you find that there are practices of the mind and practices of the energy fields of the body.
Wow. Is it just you went into those degrees and what turned you on to yoga? Just the movement, the flow, the fluidness?
You know, I always said that I felt most alive when I was dancing. And that's what made me choose, eventually leave a very lucrative engineering career to just go into the field of dance. But when I came to yoga, I felt like I came home in my body.
Wow.
And it was really amazing. And I say yoga, but also Tai Chi, very similar. And for a while, the first groups that I was studying Tai Chi with were very interested in the physical aspect and some of them the martial aspect. But I really was searching to find a teacher who could teach me about the healing aspects of Tai Chi Qigong. And just when I was actually about to give up, isn't that interesting how that works? I found an amazing teacher who could guide me on the healing practices of the energy systems of the body. And that was just really transformative. And that was over 30 years ago now. So it's been an amazing journey, and one that I have really treasure the opportunity to teach to my students.
I really love the fact that when you explain things, it's got detail, but it's easy to understand. So you really do bridge the tech side, the engineering side, the energy side with the other stuff where it's you really make it clear. And some people, I've talked to people that do similar stuff to what you do, maybe a life coach that also has a tech background where it's sometimes it gets a little too deep for the rest of us. But you're right there. It's like a perfect blend. So with that, why don't we jump into the third chakra?
Beautiful. So one of the things I just want to piggyback on a little bit of what we opened with today is that the energy in the chakras can be deficient, so it can be underactive. The energy could be overactive. The energy could be confused, scrambled, right? And what we want to do is have a free flow of energy that is balanced and sometimes transformed, right? So energy is never negative in and of itself. Sometimes people say to me, oh, I'm afraid, Frankie, to let this energy out. It's so angry, or it's so hurt, or it's so volatile. It's not good for anyone else. It's not even good for the planet. And I want to just start right away, as we're about to talk about the power center of the third chakra, that what makes that energy toxic is that we've held it in our body too long. That as we release energy, that energy is absolutely transformed by the planet, and it is not harmful for the planet and not harmful for other people.
So I have questions. Now you open the door, Frankie. That's it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's go.
We delay the inside of the third chakra until Steve gets questions answered. I'm sorry. Okay. So when we clear the energy of one chakra,
Yes.
does the other chakras absorb more energy?
Let's look at it this way. So we are holistic. And, as opposed to thinking of the body like a machine where you have to fix this part, and then you have to fix this part, and then you have to fix this part. When we understand the energy of our body, so that what we call the astral body or the esoteric body, that's the chakral bodies, the energy system, or the physical body even, the body is holistic. So if we nurture one aspect of us, Steve, every aspect of us benefits. So in other words, if I'm clearing a blockage in my throat chakra, all of my chakras will benefit because the flow of energy through the chakral system will be more smooth.
Okay. Final question. When you do that, when you clear out the one chakra, does it allow more of that energy to go to the other chakras? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yes. So let's say, because we don't have to think of the chakras as linear necessarily. Like, it isn't that first I have to clear my second chakra, now I work on my third chakra, now I work on my fourth chakra, right? We have our tendencies. So a person might be very open in their upper chakras. Maybe they're, we know people like this who are like I always think of the brilliant mathematician who, can see and visualize things and change the world with their knowledge of mathematics and ability to visualize and project concepts into the future. But they're so ungrounded. They can never find their keys. They don't remember to take a shower and brush their hair. Their friends are going, no, let's go. We have to get you some groceries. They're not very grounded, right? So that person is someone who would benefit from having dedicated time to develop their root chakra, right?
Okay.
Not to diminish what they're doing so brilliantly in the upper chakras, but to ground them and bring balance into their lives. So they have some self-care for their physical body and their daily routine, as well as for their mental ideas, right?
Okay. Thanks for explaining that, because now
Absolutely.
I've got the picture where we're all different, and of all the chakras, some needs more attention in maybe yourself, and then maybe more in me, and they might be different chakras.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not okay. We're gonna re-energize Frankie, and we're gonna give all her chakras more energy, and they're all gonna be sitting at 80%, and it's all different.
Yes, not at all. And that's beautiful. And in fact, this gives me a wonderful place, Steve, to dive into the third chakra, which is our center for our own personal power, our sense of purpose in life, and possibility, right? So we're at the element of fire. Fire is, what's moving, right? Fire is the igniting of our life. And when we are centered in our own sense of personal power, we are less likely to be aggressive. Because if I'm not afraid, right, I'm not aggressive. Think of a dog, right? If the dog has been traumatized, then, they might be aggressive. You have to soothe that dog, right? Same with people. So if people feel afraid, or they don't have a good sense of self-worth, or they feel that they don't have their own power in a situation, they can become aggressive. Now, if we feel confident in our sense of our own power, our own worth, our own self-esteem, guess what? Now, it's natural for us to be kind, to be benevolent. And that so naturally moves us up into the heart chakra. You see?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that moves into your question, doesn't it?
Okay. Yeah. It's like you're in a better place once
You're
you,
in a better place.
yeah. Okay. All right. Dig on in. Chakra
Yeah.
number 3.
Chakra number 3. So this chakra has a lot to do with leadership, right? If you want to be a strong leader or have a strong leader, you want a strong leader that is really balanced in their third chakra, right? So when you're looking to the person who, I always tell my students, who's driving the bus, like in other words, if I'm suggesting something, I don't want you to work so hard that you're ignoring your body. So when I joke around and say, who's driving the bus? That means I want them to be driving their own bus, right? Like I'm going to say, extend your leg, but you're going to decide how far to extend your leg so that you're working with a healthy stimulation that is challenging, but not straining, and certainly not something that would injure you, right?
Gotcha.
So when we claim that sense of or seat of power in our own life, we get so many benefits, self-confidence, courage, motivation to move forward in our life. Sometimes people are dreamers, but they don't necessarily have a good sense of activating those dreams. Does that make sense? So the third chakra is what helps us move our dreams into reality.
Okay. All right. So it's really is it like the take action chakra? Where,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, like
And
you
there's the
have
extra
the thought,
fire.
I want to do this, I have a great idea, but then you don't even do it.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't move forward.
So one of the thoughts that I thought of to share with our listeners today is it's only January, 16th today, I think, right?
Hmm.
And what's already happened with our New Year's resolutions? Right? It's a little
I
over
I
2 weeks.
I didn't make any. I didn't make intent of them.
Uh-huh.
I know what I want to do. I'm not putting
Yes.
limits on them, but I know
Yes.
I know what I got to do.
Beautiful. So that's, that I love that, Steve, because we want to have intention, because if we have some conscious intention, it guides us. It guides us in our life. It helps us prioritize things. If I know I want to move in this direction, when I'm facing a choice of how do I want to spend my time or develop my relationships or spend my money, I can ask myself, is this going in the direction of where I want to be heading, right?
Hmm.
And that may be this year or 5 years from now, but it gives me some clarity and it focuses me. If I just go, oh, I really want these things, but, whatever. I'm not willing to get off the sofa, right? So that feeling of lethargy in your life about pursuing something, that is a deficiency of energy in the third chakra. So when we feel like that fear of failure, right? The inability to go for something that we really want, right? Because we're afraid that we won't make it, afraid that we'll fail. That's an example of deficient energy in the third chakra. When the third
Huh.
chakra is excessive, that's a person who's feeling that they have to be very controlling and rigid in their behavior.
What if you have so much going on in your life and you're trying to balance it all out? You have goals, but you can't get to them. Maybe it's time management issues, whatever it might be. Would the third chakra come into play with that?
Absolutely. So I love that you said that, because right now, most people are trying to balance so many plates in the air, aren't we? And so the feeling of overwhelmment
Hmm.
is a feeling of the third chakra being out of balance.
Hmm.
This year, as it was coming towards the New Year's, I took a moment to reflect and write down just, a few minutes of quietness after meditation, write down some things that I would like to focus on, just to dedicate some of my time to in 2023. And then what I did after I wrote them down is I just circled one,
Hmm.
just one. And I thought, okay, now this is the one, right? So I sat there with, say, 8 or 9 things that I had come up with. And I felt like, yeah, I've kind of reflected on what I want. I've got it here. And then I thought, if I could only pick one, or if one of these really sort of represents where I want to be going, which one would it be? And so that can help us, Steve, to begin how to focus. It's not that the others aren't there, but if we feel like we we're splitting ourselves or scattering our energy too far, we never get that sense of accomplishment, right? And when our third chakra is inactive, not active enough, rather, we don't finish things. Like we start a lot of things, but we don't ever get that sense of completion because we haven't had the fire, or in yoga it's called tapas. We haven't had the fire to discipline ourselves to pursue something, right?
Great word, discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really says it says a lot. And because it takes discipline to say that I need to push that stuff aside because I want to focus on this. The third, just to reiterate, the third chakra is located where?
Oh, beautiful. So the third chakra is located in the solar plexus, and that's about four finger widths above the navel, above your navel. And that, so sometimes it's called the solar plexus chakra, sometimes it's called the navel chakra. In terms of the organs, it governs the spleen, stomach, pancreas, which is a grouping in Chinese medicine, but it also reaches into the liver, gallbladder, and into the kidneys. So when we're working on third chakra, we're working on these aspects of our life that we're talking about, particularly our will, right? Our willpower, right? And that's part of that decision making. To if I can really be confident in I have confidence and I have strength to have willpower, then I can be discerning. I can make good choices for myself, both at work, in my relationships. Another thing is, when I'm settled and balanced in my third chakra, and this is a really, really big one, Steve, I don't care what other people think.
Hmm. All right.
It's a really big one, right? And if I am lacking some self-esteem or some sense of assurity within myself, then I might be dependent on other people to boost me up, which makes me vulnerable to have bad relationships or poor relationships, because now I might choose relationships based on a sense of neediness rather than a sense of meeting people with a common strength, right? And being able to show up in my own full power. So the qualities of codependency, right? Which is a really big thing. Like often we talk about addiction, but just as there are addiction, there are many, many people who are the partners of people who have addictions and suffer from codependency. So third chakra is a great, great focus for people who are trying to find their own voice and their own sense of power out of a codependent relationship.
Would you say, Frankie, that that also comes into play if you're in a relationship where you feel that you can't really do it alone? You have the other person, and okay, it's great to be a team, but if you took that equation away or that person away, now you're stuck, not necessarily stuck, but you're
Right.
by yourself, and then feel like you're just lost.
Right.
Is that because you don't have the right kind of energy in that third chakra?
Yes. So it's a really interesting question, isn't it? Because we all want deep, loving relationships, fulfilling
Sure.
relationships in our life, right?
And
Um,
partnerships, sure.
and partnerships. And we want them to go on and on and on. And yet, we all know that most likely one person will live longer than another person, even in the best scenarios. Can say I'm blessed to have many students who are a lot older than I am, and watching their courage as they go through surviving the loss of their parents, the loss of their siblings, the loss of their husband or wife or life partner, and thriving, thriving.
Right.
That is so important. That's what you're talking about, that we can mourn, but be grateful for this great, great, great love. And that in the best of relationships, we never lose our sense of self. We never lose our sense of self. And so
Yeah.
we are interdependent. We build each other up. We never lose our own voice, and we never lose our own power. And it can be maybe tempting to give that power away when you feel down or when you doubt yourself, but it's never it's never worth it. You want to build yourself up from within. You want to develop your ability to trust again. So trusting other people is also part of third chakra. And there we are with relationships again, isn't it? If people have broken my trust or betrayed me in the past, I might not want to trust people. I might have a lot of doubt in other people, and then doubt in myself. And that's very difficult to move forward, right?
In that situation, how does the third chakra come into play?
All right, lovely. So if I am comfortable in the seat of my own power, I have a sense of confidence that I can be who I am. I am free to be me. And when I'm free to be me, I can now harness this power that is within me to pursue my dreams, right? So the third chakra isn't necessarily perhaps where you're dreaming your dream, but the third chakra is the go-to. You got to get that engine going. Like you said, well, I had this dream yesterday. The third eye chakra says, oh, I have this beautiful vision. Let's go, third chakra, right? And if the third chakra is like, no, I can't get off the couch. I'm too depressed. I need somebody else to do it for me, right? Then we need to do some work, right? And sometimes, Steve, some of the most simple things are wonderful things to get the third chakra going. So I have a little list here I want to share it with people.
Sure.
Get moving. The third chakra is all about moving. So if you're not a mover, just begin with walking, and walking outside, particularly because the energy of the sun is the energy of the third chakra. It's so important to have some time outside. I like to say that's a gift that my dog Gosha gives me, is, walking with her. Some days you think, oh, I wouldn't take the walk, I don't have time. But when you make the time and she's there saying, make the time,
well,
we have
I just want to
time.
say, you mentioned the sun and the importance of being outside because it's the solar plexus, right?
Yes, exactly. So exercise, walking is beautiful. Exercising like yoga and Tai Chi, phenomenal. Just get moving. Volunteering. I really recommend this. If you feel kind of really down in your third chakra energy, suffering with your own self-worth, suffering with what is your purpose in life, there can be nothing better than volunteering, helping children read, whatever skills that you feel confident with, sharing them with your world will give you back tenfold into your third chakra, right? It really is a very, very powerful thing. Also, the third chakra has everything to do, Steve, with our digestion. So our ability to not just digest food, but what my Ayurvedic teacher says, we are not what we eat, but we're what we assimilate, right? In other words, we can eat wonderful food, but if our body system is very weak, then we can't assimilate the nutrients from that food, right? And this is where third chakra energy, the fire in Sanskrit, is called Agni. We, even in the West, we have this phrase of a digestive fire or digestive energy, the ability of the digestive system to break down the food so we can absorb it.
Did you say agony?
Agni, yes.
Oh, agony. Okay, I thought you said agony.
Oh no, hopefully no agony.
I'm in about a half hour. I'm going to dinner at a Mexican restaurant, and it's probably it could be agony for my solar plexus at some point, but I don't know.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Make good choices. Exercise that third chakra.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So eating disorders, also, I wanted to touch on this, are also really about third chakra energy. Sometimes this is a wonderful story to share. So a friend of mine was doing yoga classes and a center for addiction. And the center did not allow the patients who had anorexia to take the yoga classes because they considered that an exercise class, and they thought that the anorexic patients would use it as a binging, binging through, or purging through exercise, right?
Wow.
But that was a real misunderstanding because anorexia is much more about control, the need to find control in your life. And so the yoga can really nourish people who are studying with or suffering with whether it's anorexia or bulimia or compulsive overeating. As we nourish our third chakra energy, it helps us with balance, right? Not just the ability to make good choices, to feel worthy of making good choices, to feel worthy of taking up space, and to feel also healthy and develop the digestive power again within our organs to really eat food and to feel comfortable eating food in our body.
And I would think too for those patients with anorexia that getting exercise would release endorphins and put you in a better state, a more positive state, because it's, you know, the anorexia is just it's a symptom of something. Could be depression, you know, could be many different things.
Right. Well, I agree that I think that if when people are suffering with anorexia, there is a distance between them and their body. Their body is no longer a safe place to be. And so especially these practices like yoga and tai chi where you're coming in consciously with your body, with your breath, with your energy. And remember how I was saying, I personally felt like I came home to my body through the practices.
Wow.
You know, so I would love to inspire our listeners out there to explore this if they're suffering with any of those conditions. It can just be gentle with yourself, find a teacher who has some affinity to want to reach out to help people. Yeah.
Definitely an eye opener today to the importance of chakras and how the energy gets transferred from one potentially to the other or not. Um, Good stuff today, Frankie. Seriously.
Thank you.
And I didn't realize how important the solar plexus chakra is.
Solar plexus chakra, if you want to succeed within the world, which we all do, right? The
At
solar
something,
plexus
sure.
chakra is our gateway into succeeding in the world, outwardly in the world, to find a place to, you know, be comfortable with ourselves in society, having a sense of purpose, a sense of self, a sense of will. And I would love to just share two quick things, if I could, Steve.
Sure.
One is a meditation, right? So I've been trying to give people a little simple meditation focus for each of the chakras. And so the one that I want to share with you today is just simply to breathe in, I am courageous. And to breathe out, I welcome new ideas. And, you know, we were, for instance, just talking about anorexia. It's courageous, right, to take a moment and reflect on one's own situation, isn't it? And then if we are courageous to welcome the idea of looking at ourselves differently, right? Right? That's a really bold thing for a person to do. Or if we feel that we are a failure in whatever way, to breathe in, I am courageous. I can look at my own eyes in the mirror and welcome new ideas about myself, that I'm not a failure, that I'm amazing. And so with that, we had talked a little bit about some songs and pop culture last time.
Sure.
So as I was thinking about today, there was one song that kept popping in my head, and it is Katy Perry's Baby, You're a Firework.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's completely all these images of fire. And so I just want to read a little bit of the lyrics.
Yeah,
and
sure.
then you have to listen to it because, of course, she sings it so phenomenally. But if we hear these words and we think of how many images of fire she has in here, it's just right on. You don't have to feel like a waste of space. You're original and cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds, after hurricane comes a rainbow. And the rainbow is light, which is fire energy again. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow. And when it's time, you'll know. You just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night. Owning the night is, I don't know if she meant this, but this is really this energy of owning the night, owning the darkness when you don't yet see the light, right? That's what we're talking about. I don't yet know where I'm going, but I'm courageous. And in this moment, I can be in that darkness for a moment, hold on to my center, hold on to my sense of self, and know that that light is going to come like the 4th of July, because baby, you're a firework. Come on, show them what you're worth.
That's awesome. And as a disc jockey, and have been since I was a kid, literally. I played that song a ton of times, but you hear the lyrics, but you don't. Like when you say
Right.
firework, pew, that one stands out. But the rest of them sometimes kind of go along with the beat, and you're not pulling it out. But when you read them, what a great song!
What a great song.
Wow.
You know, I teach an aerial yoga class and we get flying around up in the air doing this yoga. If I play that song, there isn't a single person who says I can't do it. Like before I put the song on, people are like, oh, I don't know if I'm strong enough. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm a little scared. And it's such a wonderful song because people hear it and they connect with that sense of personal power. So I think it's just a beautiful example of what we're talking about.
Isn't it amazing? Everybody's different. Everybody has different style of music, but what songs resonate? And one for me, I'll put it on at the gym. Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
only like 2.5 minutes long, and I'll just put it on repeat. And I'll just over and over and over. And it's like a subliminal, like pound it into your head. I don't
Mhm.
care what, I'm not backing down. I
Yeah.
believe in
And
something, and that's it.
Steve, there we are. That's third chakra. You've got it. Because third chakra is also about our sense of boundaries, right? Right. And
Mhm.
that's where it comes into relationships. We were talking about codependent relationships, but also careers. You know, the goal of people's career really wants to be ultimately a sense of purpose, right?
Sure.
Because at the end of our life, we're not going to really say, I made this much money. We're going to say, did I have a sense of purpose? Did I really have a meaning in my life, right? And we don't want to compromise our values, right? And our own respect for ourselves and respect for others as we pursue our careers, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Well, it's also you want to look back and say, did I make a difference? And you do every time we get together. And I'm sure when you're working with people in your studio, you make a difference in their lives. So
Thank you, Steve.
great having you here. How do we reach you? How do we find you? What's your website again?
My website is Satya, Satya Life, Life.com, satyalife.com. I have a yoga and Tai Chi studio in Lakeland, Florida. You can text or call us at 863-802-9642 or send us an email, info@satyalife.com.
They're going to cut us off. We're running out of time. All I'm going to say is,
Perfect.
Frankie, thank you so much. I can't wait till next time.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.